Do you believe wholeheartedly that Jay's your father?
I really do.
She had her when she was 16. It takes 40 weeks to cook a baby. That means she was 15 when she got pregnant.
The courtroom went silent when Rymir Carter suddenly pulled back the case against Jay-Z. For years, that case had been like a shadow hanging over him. But the moment those papers were withdrawn, everything around Jay-Z started to crack. It was supposed to be his big relief. Instead, it was the opening 50 Cent was waiting for. And when 50 decided to move, he didn't just come for Jay's music. He came for his whole name.
One thing is go to the courtroom and basically do what everybody else would have had to do. Like, it's not, you don't have to prove me wrong. I just want the truth. I could take me being embarrassed. Like, this can't take nobody not saying nothing. Like, it's not fair.
It all started the moment Rymir filed that notice. July 24th. No cameras, no crowd. Just a single motion that took a story everyone thought was ready to explode and slam the brakes on it. This wasn't a small matter. Rymir had been pushing for years, trying to force Jay-Z to take a DNA test, and Jay fought every single step of the way. It had become one of the longest paternity fights in the music world. The second the withdrawal hit the court system, Jay-Z's camp acted like the storm was over. After all, they'd been saying this whole time that the accusations were made up, that this young man was trying to drag a billionaire into a mess he had nothing to do with. For a few hours, maybe a day, it looked like the worst was finally behind them. But that calm didn't last long, not when 50 Cent smelled blood. While Jay-Z's team was busy drafting their cleanup statements, 50 Cent pulled out his phone and started posting. And the things he posted, they hit harder than a diss track. The first one was a short clip. No fancy caption, no music, just him saying, "Keep my name out of this shit, please." He was talking about all the rumors that he was helping Rymir, laughing while making it clear he had nothing to do with the case. That little clip got passed around faster than wildfire. By the end of the night, everyone was talking about 50's reaction instead of Jay's so-called win. But that was only his warm-up, because after that, he went for the jugular. The next post was where everything blew up. 50 Cent dropped a photo on Instagram, side-by-side, shots of Jay-Z and Diddy arm in arm, all smiles. Under it, he wrote, "Friends till the end. Jay, you still there? We blew up Kid Cudi's car to show him who's the boss. LOL." The caption was like a bomb. People couldn't stop looking at it. It dragged Jay into a scandal that had nothing to do with the case, but everything to do with his past. It reminded everyone of his old ties, his old friends, and how dirty those friendships have looked in the light of recent events. 50 wasn't pulling back. He was just warming up. He started talking about Beyoncé's tour, saying the tickets weren't moving, and hinting that the whole empire might be cracking. He didn't say it like gossip. He said it like a dare, like he wanted Jay to see it. Every line was aimed to make Jay-Z look like a man losing his grip. Meanwhile, Jay-Z's team was panicking behind the scenes. They weren't laughing. The legal side moved fast. They filed right away to have the entire Rymir Carter case permanently closed. They called the claims fabricated. They called it a decades-long harassment campaign. They told the judge it had to end now, once and for all. They weren't just fighting to win in court anymore. They were fighting to erase the stain. Those court documents spelled out exactly how tired Jay's side was of dealing with this. They listed every time Rymir had filed something, every time the same claims came back. The lawyers didn't mince words. They said there was no evidence, no proof, and that other judges had already thrown this story out. Even a judge warned Rymir he could be held in contempt for trying to keep filing the same case. On paper, Jay's side looked like they had it all under control. But paper isn't reality when your enemy is 50 Cent. Because out in the world, far from that courtroom, 50 Cent was painting a different picture. Every post made, Jay looked like a man who was hiding from the truth. It didn't matter what the court said. The fans weren't reading legal papers. They were reading memes. And those memes, those posts, they spread fast. It turned into a fight Jay couldn't win with lawyers. The harder Jay-Z tried to clean up his name, the more the online mess grew. People started talking about old cases, old scandals, things that had nothing to do with this lawsuit. Suddenly, the dropped case wasn't the story. The story was whether Jay was losing his image for good. And right as that storm was building, Jay-Z stepped on stage with Beyoncé just 2 days later. It should have been a victory lap. The cameras caught him smiling. But to anyone watching close, the tension was there. Every shot of him that night went viral online. But not for the music. The captions were brutal. They called him a man who could hide on stage, but couldn't hide from the truth. That night made it clear. The dropped case wasn't the end of the story. It was just the start of a much bigger one. To understand why this case refuses to die, you need to know who Rymir really is. And first of all, Carter isn't even his real last name. It's Rymir Satterthwaite. And this story isn't new. He's been fighting for answers since he was 19. That's over a decade spent in courtrooms, interviews, and legal loopholes. For one thing, a DNA test. He was raised by his mother, Wanda, a woman who, before her death, repeatedly told her son that Jay-Z was his real father. Not a fantasy, not a rumor, a name she said with conviction over and over. According to Wanda, the story went like this. In 1992, when she was just 16, she met a man known back then as Rock in Philadelphia. Wanda thought he was charming. He pulled up, smooth talking, said the right things, and she got in the car. What she didn't expect was what happened next. He took her across state lines to New York, to his aunt's apartment in Brooklyn. They hooked up that night. 2 weeks later, they met one more time. Then, he disappeared completely. She never saw him again. Months later, she realized she was pregnant with a baby boy, Rymir, and the only other man she'd been with, Robert Graves, would later take a DNA test and be ruled out as the father. Wanda was young, scared, and unsure what to do, so she put Robert's name on the birth certificate anyway. But as Rymir grew older and asked questions, Wanda's story never changed. The name always stayed the same, Sean Carter. For most people, this could have been solved with a simple mouth swab, a 3-minute DNA test. Done. But that's not what happened here. Instead, what followed was over a decade of lawsuits, accusations, and what some believe is a carefully orchestrated cover-up. Jay-Z has never taken a DNA test to settle this in court. Not willingly, not privately, not once. For years, his legal team claimed that he couldn't be dragged into court because he didn't own property in New Jersey, where many of the filings were made. But then Rymir's side showed proof that Jay-Z did in fact own assets in New Jersey during that period. Still, the courts didn't move forward. The case has been tossed out, refiled, and delayed more times than anyone can count. What would have been a basic request for most people, take a test or present your evidence, turned into a legal circus. And every time Rymir's team got close to real answers, the case mysteriously shifted judges. New lawyers appeared, or motions were denied without clear explanation, almost like someone was pulling strings in the background. But recently, something changed. A new judge looked at the case, and this time, they said, proceed. Jay-Z was officially given a deadline, July 18th, to respond. You'd think this would calm things down, but it only made things worse. When 50 Cent gets involved in something, he's not just playing around. He's either after revenge, ratings, or both. And in this case, maybe a little of each. According to multiple reports, 50 Cent is not only paying Rymir's legal fees, he's also putting him in his next major documentary, which dives deep into alleged misconduct by people like Diddy and Jay-Z. For 50, this isn't just about paternity. This is about secrets, power, and exposure. Now here's where things get really uncomfortable. According to people close to the case, it's not just Jay-Z trying to make this disappear. Behind the scenes, Beyoncé's team has reportedly been playing defense too. One insider claimed someone from Bey's camp allegedly told Rymir to "Go away, little boy." A chilling quote that's now being circulated as part of Rymir's ongoing legal narrative. Nothing's been confirmed, but it's enough that conspiracy theories are exploding online. Did Beyoncé know? Did she help hide it? And what about her public image? She's built an empire around motherhood, empowerment, and authenticity. But if it turns out Jay-Z fathered a child with a 15-year-old and she knew all along, that could shatter the mythology. There's also whispers about the other children Jay-Z may have never acknowledged. Are there more Rymirs out there? Some fans now claim that Rymir resembles Blue Ivy more than anyone else in the Carter family. Speculation? Maybe. But the resemblance is stirring conversations that the Carter camp has desperately tried to avoid. And just when you think it can't go any deeper, Back in 1992, sweeping stories like this under the rug was easy. If you had the right lawyers, the right connections, the right silence, you walked away clean. But it's not 1992 anymore. 2025 isn't playing fair with the elite. We're living in a time where victims are finally finding their voices, where billionaires are being investigated, and where even someone as untouchable looking as Jay-Z is starting to look vulnerable. Especially with people like 50 Cent throwing gas on the fire and the media beginning to pay attention. Think about it. Just this year alone, Diddy got exposed for a string of explosive allegations, including abuse, trafficking, and cover-ups, some of which allegedly overlap with Jay-Z's past business associations. And guess what? According to court documents tied to Diddy, Jay-Z shows up in some of those timelines. The streets are talking, and they're not whispering anymore. There's a hunger now for truth over image. And Jay-Z may have underestimated how far this case could climb. He built his empire on control, the narrative, the music, the brand. But now, he's not in control anymore. So here we are. July 18th was the date a judge gave Jay-Z to finally answer for this case, or risk being held in contempt. But then came the twist nobody expected. Rymir withdrew the case. Just like that. Yet instead of ending the story, it only made things worse for Jay. Because now, the world wants one thing more than ever. Take the test. 3 words. That's all Rymir had been asking since he was 19. He wasn't looking for a payout. He wasn't chasing clout. He's just a grown man who lost his mother, spent his life being called a liar, and now he's backed by the courts, the media, and yes, 50 Cent. So what's stopping Jay-Z? Because by now, everyone's asking the same question. If the boy isn't yours, why fight so hard to avoid one simple test? You had the time. You had the resources to prove him wrong instantly and shut all this down years ago. Instead, you've spent a decade and a half fighting, dodging, and hiding. And now, it might be too late to hide anything. Rymir withdrew his case, but the damage is done. 50 Cent is just warming up. The public is finally listening. And your fans, well, they're starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's some truth behind this man's nose, mouth, and bloodline. This isn't just a rap beef anymore. This is a story of power, silence, and one man's desperate fight for identity. Jay-Z thought this would disappear when Rymir withdrew. Now, it's everywhere. Legal documents, news cycles, YouTube feeds, documentaries, and the craziest part? This withdrawal might just be the beginning of something bigger. What happens next could change everything we thought we knew about Hav, his empire, and the hidden costs of silence. So here's the big question. Do you think Jay-Z is hiding something? Or is this all just a media circus fueled by revenge, rumors, and legal games? Let us know what you believe in the comments below. And don't forget, subscribe if you want to stay locked in, because with 50 Cent on the attack and the public demanding answers, this story is far from over. Because now, everyone's watching.